This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Currently on No Other Pod. I'm Daniel Kooser here with Chris Wright and a very special guest from the Kansas City Current, outside back, Izzy Rodriguez. Izzy, gosh, how are you? What's going on?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're fantastic. We've been touting your praises for years on this podcast, and we're just so excited to finally have you on here. So
glad to be here.
Every time you do something crazy on the field, we're like, we told you she can do that.
Love that support.
So let's just jump right into it here. Basically, I kind of want to start off with learning about how you came in to the sport of soccer in general. How old were you when you started to play? What are your earliest memories of playing the sport?
I started, I think, when I was about 3 or 4, really young, so didn't know anything about soccer at that point. I don't remember this, but my dad reminds me all the time that I scored 2 goals on myself in the first game. So didn't start off on the greatest foot, but I've been playing for a really long time. It was honestly at that point just something to do with friends and to get me out of the house. Played pretty much every sport at that age and started growing, and my town and a lot of my friends kept playing soccer, so we just kept going on through the ranks of club and travel and ECNL and all of those things, and I've just been doing that since.
Just the regular upbringing of soccer being life, right? Club stuff, school stuff, just nonstop.
Did you have any brothers or sisters that were competitive with you, that pushed you?
Yes, I have an older brother. Although no one in my family played soccer, he is 6 years older than me and played every other sport as well. So he definitely beat up on me a lot to make me the person I am, which I'm so glad that's the case, because I would definitely not be as competitive as I am today without that.
Makes sense. Definitely someone there to push is always good. It's well known you're a proud Michigan native. So how did you end up at Ohio State to play ball?
That is a great question. I get that all the time. I grew up a Michigan State fan because my dad went there. He hardcore football and basketball lover for them. So we had that mutual hatred, I guess, towards the U of M in Michigan. So it made it a little bit easier to jump over to Ohio State. But I think I love all sports. They're super competitive, all their sports. Their school was fantastic. Campus felt like home for me. Wasn't too close to home where I felt like I was going to be seeing everyone and the same people everywhere, but just enough where I could still see my family. They came to all my games, which is really fun to be able to have that.
Wait, that makes me think, when not playing soccer or watching soccer, is there another sport primarily that you really enjoy playing and watching?
Yes. So I love football's great. Grew up watching my brother play football. He played baseball too, really like that. I do like basketball. Big hockey fan, also coming from Michigan. I feel like we grew up around hockey. My cousin played, always watching those as well. So honestly, all sports, if it's a weekend or even a weekday, if something's on TV, that's usually what I have on.
Oh, that's great. Growing up, did you have any players that you kind of modeled your game after, or you loved to watch growing up?
Yeah. So growing up, I was a little bit more of an attacker, and my number was 13. So I always loved Alex Morgan at that time. Then as I started to transition, really big fan of Becky Sauerbrunn and who she is as a person and the way she plays defensively. I think she's just a tank. She's led that team for a really long time. So I think knowing how I am now, I'm a little bit of a mix of those players, just because I like to get forward. Alex Morgan is also left-footed. So I find some things in myself about that, but then also now developing that defensive side. I like to look at myself as hopefully somebody that could be a consistent backline player.
So, you've obviously been able to play Alex and Becky. How was that playing players that you grew up idolizing or watching?
Those first couple games, especially my rookie year, was almost like starstruck. You're like, wow, I used to watch you on TV. I used to go to your games and cheer you on and wear your jerseys. And it's crazy now to think that, not that they're my peers, but they're almost like that because we're playing against each other every day. We're getting in tackles with each other every day. And hopefully I have little kids doing what I did as well and looking up to me and hopefully can model that off themselves too.
When you come up against a star like Alex Morgan, national team, stalwart, Olympics, all that stuff, obviously you're going to get a little geeked. Who wouldn't, right? And was there a part of you that's like, come on, Izzy, be professional. You're a professional now. Or Or do you just lean into it and you're like, screw it, man, I'm going to go have fun?
I think there definitely is. I remember my rookie year getting into a tackle with Marta, and I got up from it. It ended up being a foul, and she looked at me and just said, "Welcome to the league." And I think those are some of the things you're like, wow, that's when you can acknowledge it. During the play, you're kind of like, forget who they are, just focus on yourself. But then after the plays or after a game, when you can shake their hands and just kind of meet them a little bit, I think that's the really fun part.
That's so cool. I just think about that. That'd be wild to me. When you came into the league, 43rd draft pick, I believe, nothing's guaranteed. It's not very early draft pick like some others. How do you mentally prepare or approach the idea of fighting for your spot on the field? Because you've really locked down this role. How do you approach that?
That day, looking back at it, felt like in the moment the longest day of my life. That draft, I'm sure you guys know, is so long. It's like 4 hours, especially when you're getting towards the end of it. I actually had graduation in college that same weekend. So my family was all in Columbus watching with me. We missed our graduation dinner because the draft was taking so long. But then when your name is called, like, you just start crying. I was so excited, so thankful just to have the opportunity. And I think you just have to keep that in mind. It's an opportunity to prove yourself. I have that belief in myself. My family did, my coaches did, and I had to kind of go into it not overthinking it and just be prepared to take in a bunch of information, to learn, knowing that effort now and hard work is just an expectation. That's not really going to put you above people anymore because that's just expected at our level. So just not taking any moment for granted, any practice for granted, and just learning a ton, being coachable. And I think those are the main things I try to keep in the forefront of my mind when I was going into something like that. Of each day is going to be an uphill climb. You might have a bad day, but just focus on the next one.
It's kind of that 1% better every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was there any players that kind of took you under their wing when you came in as a rookie?
I think Lola Bonta is one of the best players at doing that. When you're brought in, she's just so welcoming to everybody, and you guys know her personality. She will talk to anyone for as long as she wants or they want. Really inviting. There was a couple girls too back on the team. My rookie year, Taylor Leach, who was really helpful in the coaching aspect. Like, she was always teaching on the field, so I think that helped a lot. And even like Haley Mace is super good at helping me as I was learning from her as we were going kind of through that position of, these are the things I do well and I can help you with, or let's look at this together and just compete against too. I mean, she's a heck of a player. So like having to compete against someone like her makes you learn really fast.
Oh, I'm sure iron sharpens iron and all that. Yes. Everyone always mentions Lo, right? I imagine she was that kid where her parents had to be like, don't talk to strangers, because she's just so outgoing.
Yeah, she is. She definitely brings that in too. And like she wants everyone to feel like they're a part of the team, which is great.
It's so cool. When you got here, you played like 26 games your rookie year, which is, that's a surprise. No one expects that out of a rookie. So it's commendable. But what was that like to just jump in the waters and just go? And also, what was kind of the hardest part of transitioning from a college athlete to a professional athlete?
Yeah. Definitely think those games too, being thrown in the last 10 to 15 minutes versus starting a game, like, is such a different. I learned that as I went on. Being those 15-minute players, sometimes you're playing a little differently than how you might think you play as a player. Like, you start a game, you get in the flow of things, and then you come in the last 15, you're pretty much just running around with your head cut off sometimes. Like, just get pressure on the ball, see what you can do. But I think that's a great place to learn, because you have all these people behind you. You're seeing what the game looks like before you get to go in there. And I was so grateful just to have those opportunities and learn at such a young part of my career, because then I was able to grow pretty fast. It's definitely a mentality of, you can't look at one performance as your whole performance. You might have a really great game and get almost too high on that, and then have a really bad game and get too low. You kind of got to medium that out a bit and just keep the flow going throughout the season. I think 26 games is a long time, and we've had to use a lot of our roster this year just because of injuries and stuff like that. So I think I also got a little bit of the benefit for that, of just having a roster where we needed some subs, we needed some difference makers, and just being thrown in there to do what I do best, which is just provide some energy at that point.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the roster. I'm not even sure we've seen what the roster is yet. I mean, it's just been all over the place. I'm like, oh no, what are we gonna be? Are we gonna be good without our top striker out there? Nope, we're still winning games. The most wild thing in the world.
It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it, and there's no drop off ever. I mean, our practices are so competitive that it almost makes the games feel, I don't want to say easy because they're never easy, but when you're going up against Temwa and Bia and Michelle Cooper and Alexa and Pfeiffer and Michelle, all those people in practice, like you get into a game and you're like, okay, I know how to do this with all of those players too.
I mean, what do you even do against Timwa? I mean, you just do your best?
Yes.
Grab, hold.
Yes. We've joked about this sometimes in a game. She'll just do like, we'll be doing small-sided stuff and she takes a touch and gets by three of us and we're like, what could we have even done differently there? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the league is asking themselves that, right?
Yes.
You got to foul. You got to pull her.
Yes.
That's it.
You literally have to probably sandwich three people on every side of her and hope for the best.
And then when that happens in a game, the outside back is streaking down the field for a long ball, and it's fantastic.
Yes.
You re-signed with the Current this year. What was that process like? How did you navigate it? Were you looking at, did you have other offers? I mean, what ultimately led to that decision to stay here?
There was not really a question I wanted to stay here or not. I'm really glad Kansas City was on the same page as I was. I'm lucky to have started here and gotten to have the training facilities and the resources and the investment for the new stadium. And so much of the community here is incredibly invested in soccer and all their sports, which I've never seen anywhere else. Like people know who we are. They want to support us. And that's such an environment that I want to be a part of. Like they want to raise expectations. They expect us to win. And I think those expectations are really important. So that was huge. Kansas City feels like home. I didn't really want to be anywhere else. So I'm glad that, again, we were on the same page with that. And I'm technically still not like a restricted or unrestricted free agent. So like, not that I don't have a ton to say. Like if I wanted to be somewhere else, I probably could have voiced that, but I didn't want to be anywhere else. So it was the perfect win-win.
True. When they're opening a new stadium, I mean, why are you don't you kind of want to be around for that?
Oh, for sure. Yes.
I know a lot of my friends in other media, we'd just be talking to each other, just hoping that we would get the social media post that you've re-signed. So I think we've all been pretty happy about that.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
With Vlatko being the new coach, right? What is some of the biggest tactical differences that you've had to deal with from last year to this year?
I think, and all of them have been super helpful and beneficial to the way we play. And I think it's just we all know our role and we're going to execute it, whether it's like a slight change, but we're all buying into it. I think we're a team that's really been on the front foot, and that's something that we weren't necessarily last year. I think we spent a lot of time defending last year. And this year, we want to put that pressure on teams to make the mistake, play the ball right in the middle of us. We're going to win it back. We want to be able to be creative and know that our team's going to win it back if something doesn't happen. Like we didn't really have those opportunities last year because I think we would defend for so long. You almost were like, I don't really want to do anything super creative because I don't want to lose it and have to defend again. And we're winning it back so fast right now. So I think that's such a big thing of we're all bought in. We're getting touches on the ball. We're playing aggressive soccer and we're making teams hopefully scared.
It shows from the first whistle. I mean, just sitting in the stadium watching, I'm like, they're just going. They're not letting the other team get past midfield. And you can just tell Vlatko has instilled something in you all that just go. Let's get that first goal, that second goal, and put them on their heels the entire game, just kind of bury them.
Yeah, exactly. And he's definitely put us in a great position, again, having this roster where he tells us, like, run as hard as you can, do as much as you can. We have so many people waiting to come in and do the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, we saw Michelle Prince come in for her first start this weekend. And it's like, I'd almost forgotten she was on the team because she's been recovering from injury. And I'm like, ah, dang, there's another weapon. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Yeah. You take, what was it, Deb and Alexa off, and you put Michelle and Nichelle in. Like, we're not losing anything.
I mean, Cooper got a majority of starting minutes last year. So it's wild to see her coming off the bench. Mm-hmm. Very excited. Yeah. And now team is undefeated. I believe it's us and Orlando as the two final undefeated teams. What's like the key to this unbeaten streak?
I think we put a lot of emphasis on focus on one game at a time. When you start looking at the big scope of things, it gets daunting to think, okay, we had this person next. Even our 3-game week last week, it was hard to almost focus on one game because you're like, we have one in 2 days. We have to travel tomorrow. We're not sure what that looks like. But we've really focused on one game at a time, and no one has any doubt in their mind going into it that we're going to win this game, or we're going to put the pressure on. We're going to be the best team out there, even if it's a 1-0 win. I know people are expecting us to score all these goals, but we've learned to now get these shutouts, and everything's starting to come together and grind out. Like, we know how to tie games. We only tied like once or twice last year. We can tie games, and now this year we're learning to win games and tie games when they're really hard.
I would say we're in our full-on villain era, and we're just embracing it. Everyone sees that we're kind of the team to beat, and it feels good. But it's I love to see the confidence. You mentioned the 3-game. You guys had a heck of a road trip. The freaking rain delay in Houston, going up to Seattle, where it seemed like they kind of celebrated drawing against you at home, which was very weird to me. What were the travel woes like? You kind of heard some talking about it. What was that experience like?
It was chaos. I give so many thanks and applaud to our staff for figuring things out so on such short notice. But again, I think I've heard this a couple times. Nobody really complained. Like, we all were like, we can't really control this. It stinks because we've had flights canceled. We're getting in late, delays, more cancels, less off days, like things that just weren't going to plan. And I think everything possible might have gone wrong in those 6 days before we came back here. But nobody complained, and we're just like, all right, what's the next thing we can do? What is our next task that we can focus on to kind of get us in a good place for our next game?
I think Lo mentioned not. Oh, sorry, Chris. I think Lo mentioned not sleeping.
Jeez.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
How did you stay occupied during that Houston game during the rain delay? Like, how'd you keep yourself kind of energized and focused?
It was definitely ups and downs. Luckily, I'm a big Formula One gal. I love watching the races. There was a race during that, so I definitely put that on while we were in there. There were some card games going on. I even think at one point I pulled out my Kindle and started reading when I was like, I don't even know if we're going to get this in at some point. We had some dancing going on. We watched the whole first half at like right when we got out there too. So we had pretty much watched film and half the game before the game was even finished. But that's kind of what we did. We weren't sure if we were going to be out in an hour or two, so it was hard to kind of figure out like how much should you do, what should you eat. I had like 3 Uncrustables, I think, as some of my meals.
Is that good for a soccer player?
We do have, that is a popular snack on our team. A nice peanut butter and jelly. I think it's calm on the stomach for people, but gives them the carbs we need. So,
okay, good enough for me. I'm hitting the store. What Lo mentioned, not a lot of people slept, and so playing in that Seattle game on very little sleep, I just can't imagine what that was like. Did you get any sleep at all?
Yeah, that one was a little tough. I think I never sleep great after games, especially one that drags that long. You're just amped. I think I had coffee right before too, so it's just all over the place. But I think after Seattle as well, we went home right away and didn't land until almost 5 a.m. So then we're like, should I try to sleep a couple hours, sleep till noon, and then maybe not sleep as well the next? It was a struggle kind of finding the right medium of when you should sleep, when you should try to keep yourself up.
Yeah. So, I mean, all things considered, the 1-0 win against North Carolina doesn't seem too bad. It's like, yes, we score a lot of goals at home, but we'll take it. So you scored your first goal about a year ago for the club. And outside backs don't always get that opportunity to score. But when you score, they're pretty sweet. They're pretty cool.
They're on ESPN pretty much every single time.
I mean, yeah, I'm just like, where's this coming from? Do you have a favorite goal you have scored? Does anything pop into your head as the one?
I think my first one, it's kind of a competition. My first one was just like incredible because it's your first goal, first professional goal. It probably was like one of the best shots I've ever hit as well. So I think that's up there. And then our Chicago game where we ended up, I think, winning like 6-4, whatever it was, the last game of the year. I scored our first goal, but my family and like some of my best friends were in town for that game too. So I think like knowing that they were there watching the game in person was also a pretty special moment.
I bet. Absolutely. Everyone remembers their first.
Yes.
Do you have to like ever, you see a ball coming your way, do you ever have to like tell yourself, don't take that shot, or you just let it rip?
Most of the time I think I'm like, this is my one shot. I got to go for it. There's been a few times where I'm like, someone's going to get mad at me for probably thinking from 30 yards out. Maybe we'll recycle it first. But most of the time I feel like I'm just going to take the opportunity if I have it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll just turn and hit. It's like, oh, she didn't even think about it. She just did it.
When I'm near the goal, I get a little itch, and I'm like, okay.
Absolutely. And then defenders don't get that opportunity. It's to be a star. So it's awesome. But speaking of the defense, it's been rock solid these last 3-4 games. What's been the catalyst for that little hot streak? You guys just getting more comfortable together, or what's going on?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that, as well as just we took a little while to learn from each other our tactics, at what formation worked the best, and we've had a mix of different personnel. So I think learning who does what well and kind of what our tendencies are, but also we decided to really value shutouts. Like we needed to start valuing shutouts and what that means for us. And a lot of us, like as much as we want that 5-4 win or even like 4-2, like that bugs us defenders a ton. And I even know like we're getting our midfielders, our forwards on board with wanting shutouts. Like we got to start taking pride in those. And I think we've really made that a big emphasis over the past couple of weeks.
And you don't want Franch barking at you.
Don't need that.
Yeah.
Is she the most intimidating goalkeeper you've ever had to play with?
I think so. Definitely. She's the only professional goalkeeper I've played with pretty much. And she does get pretty intimidating. Luckily, like I know her pretty well off the field now. So on the field versus off the field, different person. We have a great relationship. So I respect that so much from her. Like she's got a command from back there, and it helps us a lot when you have somebody back there who's really confident what they're saying and what they're having you do.
Definitely. Yeah, she's definitely a general back there. So kind of want to transition into just some fun questions here at our tail end of our conversation. What does Izzy like to do in her free time away from soccer?
I have a dog. I love to do stuff with her, whether it's go to parks or even try out like some patios and stuff with that. I usually try to plan something on my off day with her so she's getting a little bit more attention than she does during the week. I love reading. I will also binge watch like any TV show possible. So kind of all those things.
What are you watching right now? What are you binging right now?
Honestly, I'm actually rewatching Criminal Minds. I rewatch that show a lot. But the new Evolution, like second season, is coming out soon. So I kind of wanted to recap myself a bit.
Listen, that show, the new one is crazy. They can say F words, Chris. They can F-bomb all over the place.
Since when?
Paramount Plus, baby.
It is crazy.
And you can't binge that though. How are you going to go walk your dog alone, thinking that there's a serial murderer out and about?
That's why you have a dog.
Yes, he's scared of everything, so it doesn't help me, to be honest. But I'm a little weird. I also like watching scary movies alone because I think they're a little scarier. So like watching Criminal Minds before bed doesn't bother me.
Oh my goodness, that gets my blood going. I don't like it.
I don't like it either. Do you have a specific like music or playlist that gets you excited for a game?
I am not. I will listen to anything. I almost like not being on the aux because I think it's stressful to be on the aux and have to appease a lot of people. So I'll listen to whatever's on. But in my free time, not away from soccer, I'm definitely a country gal a bit. But I listen to a lot of like Akon and Usher and those kind of songs before games usually.
Nice. Love that. I mean, the hype songs.
Yes.
Right? Well, you gotta do it. Are there any specific foods that you avoid to stay in that peak physical soccer shape?
Oh boy.
Not Uncrustables, apparently.
No, not Uncrustables. Those are very well in the diet. I don't know if I necessarily avoid. I think everything's definitely a moderation thing, and we've really harped on that. It's like there's nothing necessarily you can't have, as long as it's like here and there. Like big sweet treat gal. I love a cookie. I love some ice cream. So finding moments to have those post game. Always will have a Dr. Pepper, but I never drink soda other than that. So it's like just those little things. Like I'm not a huge soda gal, but after a game, Dr. Pepper, the best thing you could ever eat or drink.
Nice. You never had those moments where you go to training and you're like, really shouldn't have had pizza last night?
Maybe sometimes if I have like tacos, I think the night before, that more gets me. I think anything that's more like blandy carbs, those don't bother me. But if I'm having like even barbecue, sometimes I'm like, probably shouldn't have had that.
Nice.
Do you have a favorite like post-game meal? Kind of piggybacking off of that.
Kind of whatever they serve us. Usually they have food for us. We've had like some fajita bowls and like taco bowls, Chipotle, that type of stuff after game, and I do enjoy that.
Nice. So I got this fun little thing I've never done before. I'm calling it Squad Superlatives.
Oh boy.
First one, you're the first one.
Yeah, first one. I just think it'd be kind of fun to, talk about your teammates a little bit in this way. You know what superlatives is? Because I had to explain it to Chris. He didn't know.
I got it.
I don't even know how to pronounce that.
You relax. We got you, Chris.
Thank you.
So, out of your teammates, and you could even include yourself in these as well. You can be facetious if you need to be. So, who's the life of the party?
Oh, low. She's even 6 a.m. and we're all tired. She's always the life of the party.
She's not a real person. I'm convinced.
I don't know. I literally ask her all the time, how do you have that energy right now?
All right. Best hair.
Oh, I think Reagan has gorgeous hair. It's so long, it's so thick, and it's blonde. So it's nice. I kind of wish that was my hair.
Most likely to survive the Hunger Games.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I want to say Kristen Hamilton because she does know a lot about like construction and outdoorsy stuff, but also I don't know if she'd survive it alone. I think she would need a partner to help her.
Nice.
So maybe her and I think E-Ball could level her out.
Love it. Had to look up if there was a women equivalent to this, but best womance. Not bromance, womance.
Okay. I would like to... Bailey Feist and myself have become pretty good besties, so I'm just going to put us out there.
Oh, that's great. Best dressed.
Ooh, that's another good one. I think it depends on the vibe you're going, but I think Desi Scott always has some really great game day fits, and I've really liked Bia's fits coming into our game recently. They've been pretty on fire.
Nice. Just got about 5 more here for you. Most gullible.
Oh, it could be Alexa. It also could be Claire Labaget, just because I think there's a bit of a miscommunication sometimes.
Nice. Biggest prankster.
Low scares everybody all the time. Specifically me. She's gotten me a lot. I don't like to take credit for that, but she does scare me quite often.
And you're watching too many Criminal Minds, and you wouldn't be there. Most likely to brighten your day.
Oh, that's a cute one. I think Jordan Silkowitz. She's always got a compliment for somebody. She's always got a smile on her face. She'd be a great person for that.
Adorable. Most likely to win The Voice.
Desi Scott. Voice of an angel.
Love it. And last but not least, best person to share a deserted island with.
I'm going to have to go with Bailey because we're roommates on the road, so we spend a lot of time together.
Dope. That was my squad superlatives. Chris, what'd you think about that?
I was impressed. I liked them.
All right, man. Hit the next question.
If you were playing soccer, what would you be doing if you were playing soccer for your career?
This is a little odd, but I love event planning and like I'm a very organized person, like want things to be in order. So I would love to do that. My cousin got married and I kind of like semi-planned her wedding for her. She was a little bit all over the place. And I was like, okay, I need to help you.
Move over. I got this, right?
I really liked it. So I think that would be another thing. Weird, but I really like that.
You didn't even have to think about it. You're like event planning. That's my second thing. That was awesome. And last but not least, I think, I had this one in here. What's the most challenging part of training for you?
I think it is constantly staying switched on. We definitely do some of the same things throughout the week, and you're like, okay, I know what this is going to look like, but it's consistently like trying new things and noticing different players and what their tendencies are, and not getting like necessarily comfortable in your position. I think you always have to be switched on and ready for something new they're going to throw at you, because you don't really want to get comfortable being in, this is the drill we do it on this day, we do that. Just not going through the motions through it.
Yeah, it's definitely not an ADD sport. I imagine you just kind of got to be on all the time.
For sure.
Especially if you're constantly competing for minutes with a very stacked bench behind you.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'll end it with one last one here. You've been in the league for 3 years, you re-sign a contract. What have you learned about yourself throughout your entire professional soccer journey?
I think I've learned, which I think this is something I've had to grow into as well, of just not overthinking things, of just taking it one day at a time. And when something happens that you might not like, focus on what I'm able to control. So that's how I'm playing, how much I'm working hard, like the effort I'm putting into our team, my personality every day. It's not necessarily focusing on decisions that I'm not making, but my own play, my own performance, my own self.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Very cool. All right. Well, unless you have questions for us, Izzy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. This was a lot of fun for us. I hope you had fun as well. And we're looking forward to being out there Saturday, cheering you on.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.